What's up? What's up? And welcome to the square. This is my positive little place right here on the internet for me to give power to the people, all while also giving them upliftment on topics that may or may not be positive in the areas of business or civics or entertainment. That's right. That's why I call it the square. The square is like any other city, town, or urban square, one location where all of those things are applicable. You know how you say, oh, come meet me down at the square. We're doing this, or we're doing that, or we're doing this. And all those could be three different things. Well, those are at the intersection of my interests, and that's why I titled it that. Also, because the square means, to come straight and be direct, and that works just perfectly for me because I believe in straight talk. I really, really do. So, listen, I am excited about today. As I stated, I'm excited about today's episode, today's conversation, because we are talking about being accountable in several areas. And of course, we're going to talk about business. We're going to talk about something that's recently going on in entertainment and all that. But first and foremost, I just want you to know that the theme of it, the crust of it all, is to be accountable. So I'm ready to get into it without further ado. I said, without further ado. I said, without further ado. I said, without further ado. I think we're ready. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's get into the first topic on the square.
Listen, ShySpeaks, 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 ShySpeaks.
In all thy getting, get an understanding, they say. Well, I'd like to add to that, in all thy getting, no, in all thy being, be accountable. Hey, folks, and welcome back to this personal growth area of YouTube right here on my channel. Today, we're going to be diving into the transformative topic that has the potential to skyrocket your personal and your professional life, and that is accountability. Okay, stay with me now because I'm going to explore the powerful practices and like how being accountable to someone, both personally and professionally, and most importantly to yourself, can actually really, really be powerful. Right? I want you to understand that, and we're going to get into it today. Now, at the end of this video, you'll not only grasp the profound impact of accountability in these crucial, well, three crucial aspects of life, but you'll also discover actionable strategies to become more accountable and lead a more successful and fulfilling life. Listen, in a world filled with distractions and constant change, being accountable is often like the key differentiator between achieving goals and merely dreaming about them. So today we're going to be unlocking the power of accountability to help you thrive. Have you ever wondered how some people consistently excel in their personal and their professional pursuits? Have you ever wondered how you could stay accountable to yourself, um, the most important commitment of them all, right? Well, stick around because we're about to answer these vital questions.
Listen, ShySpeaks, 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 ShySpeaks.
Let's start by unraveling the importance of personal accountability. It's the commitment we make to ourselves, and it's the foundation of success in every area of our lives. When we talk about goals, right? Goals are personal. So the commitment should be also, you got to take it personal. You got to, first of all, set some specific goals and some specific expectations because that leads to productivity. I've talked about that in one of the previous videos. I should probably link it to this video here. So if you want to check that out, do so. You want to create a system of tracking and reporting. What I mean by, you want to get a task management app or you want to use a calendar. You will be surprised by how many people are actually not using Google Calendar. I'm surprised. I'm like, you have Google Calendar right here. It tells you like what I got going on. Use your calendar. You still, no, I'm telling you, that makes a difference. You can hold yourself accountable because you can set it on your calendar at this specific time that this is the specific goal. Sorry, this is a specific goal that you're supposed to be doing at this specific time according to the calendar. Let's say, for example, you're supposed to be working out. Set that on your calendar at 6:30 a.m. that you're working out at 6:30 a.m. This way, it pops up on your phone. You know that's what you're supposed to be doing. Or you can get some other type of productivity or task management app. But I'd be surprised how many people are not using just their calendar. There's also a such thing as a task manager, which means you can set something as it's not an event that's coming up like a birthday party or maybe a training session that you have to go to, but it's a task that you say you want to do. Like you can set, hey, I want to write for 30 minutes at 1 p.m. every day, or for 30 minutes at 7 p.m. every day. You can set that as a task and have it reoccurring, and it pops up, and you have to click check to say that it's done. That's just a simple way of holding your own self accountable to your own goals. And then the last thing I want to say is to practice self reflection and ownership. When you set aside dedicated time to review your progress, you're having opportunities to self-reflect, and then you also create opportunity to take ownership. Because listen, we sit down weekly and we look at what all happened. Did it go well? What went well? What did not go well? And you can actually acknowledge both your successes and your failures. I'm going to keep it moving because this right here is really good. Number two, we want to talk about personal accountability, right? Building trust and building respect. Now, again, like I'm saying, let's shift our focus to the professional accountability. Professional, that is. It's not just about meeting work deadlines, it's about building trust and respect in your career. The best way to build trust with others is to carry yourself in a respectable way. I said the best way to build trust with others is to carry yourself in a respectable way. Here's something you can do in your professional life. You can document your work and your actions. If there are projects that you're managing, document those things. If there are meetings that you had and action items that you were supposed to be taking away from that meeting, document it, write it down. This is how you actually carry yourself in a respectable way. Take initiative and seek feedback, right? This is professional accountability, meaning I am inviting you. I'm coming in to ask you for your advice. Notice I said advice, not opinion. People feel better about giving you advice. If you say, hey, can I have your opinion? They're like, there's somebody who wants my opinion who probably going to get mad at my opinion. If you come to them humbly and say, hey, I would like to have your advice. How did I do in that meeting? Or can you give me some advice on how maybe I could have did better in presenting that meeting or answering the question in that meeting? I'm just really curious on what you think. What that does is make the person feel like you value their wisdom, right? Again, at the same time, it says, I'm a person that's open to feedback, which means I'm open to be accountable. Now, I do want to say you need to be making improvements on those things you get feedback from. Otherwise, people are going to know you're just somebody that likes talking. You're on this career thing to seem accountable. Like, hey, I talk to people, I ask them questions. You're like, and they're answering. You're like, and you're not going to do anything about it. And they know that. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about truly, truly taking professional accountability in such a way that you carry yourself with respect, and it begins to trickle over into more trust in your career. Another thing I want to talk about, I want to explore the profound impact of being accountable to just others in your personal life, right? It's the ultimate motivator, if you ask me. You can just find someone who has a shared goal with you, shared vision, shared dreams, any of that. Or there are people who you see that is really excited about you achieving the next level. They like, oh man, you did that. That's so great. I'm so excited about that. I can't wait for you to do this, that, and the third. And if they're so excited, maybe they don't have the same shared goal because you're in two different walks of life, but they're excited about seeing you get to the next. Maybe you can ask that person, and you can invite them to hold you to your commitment to get to that very next thing, whatever that is, right? Your commitment to continue to be consistent with the quality that you put out, or the consistency that you put out, or whatever it is that you are doing. You invite that person in. I think the best person, though, is someone who has shared vision so that you and them can both hold each other accountable. You can establish regular check-ins with one another, and you can give updates. And so here's the thing. Let's say, for example, the person is not checking in on you. Like, I told them to hold me accountable. They never checked in. No, you go ahead and set the regular check-ins in. I did that before. I was like, man, I asked these people to hold me accountable, and they never really checked in. And probably because they didn't want to be held accountable in the area that I was asking for accountability in, so they didn't want to talk about it. But what I should have did is just set a consistent schedule to be held accountable in that. So I'll check in. I'll give them an update, and then they can kind of give me their feedback from there. Listen, another thing that you can do, I think that this is a very missed opportunity when we're talking about establishing accountability with others, and that is working in some type of incentives or some type of consequence. A lot of times people are like, I want to be accountable, but at the end of the day, what's the punishment if the person says like, oh yeah, you're not doing what you're supposed to do? It's like, yeah, shoot, I'm not. See, there's no consequence. So there is no reward center or nothing's firing off in your brain like, man, if I do this, I'm gonna lose this. So here's an example. Maybe you say I'm gonna run every day for 5 days a week. Each day is worth $10. If I do not run 5 days a week for at least 10 minutes, I owe you $10. And that person gonna check in with you. How did you do? How did you do? How did you do? Did you run today? And then you're gonna show them some type of metric that proves that you did whatever you did. And then at that point, do you really want to just be losing $10 every day, or would it be better to just go run? Right. So there's a consequence that winds up being a motivator for you. Also, another thing is an incentive. At the end of the day, if I run 5 days a week for an entire month, as I said I would, what am I going to do to reward myself? Rewards are slept on in accountability, which says, hey, if you do this, man, I'm going to take it. Let's say somebody is asking you to hold them accountable. I want you to say, hey, I'm holding you accountable, but if you do this for a month straight, we're going to go do this as a reward for your hard work, right? So now, not only are they staying committed to their goal, they have something that they're working towards. It's going to be a reward. The thing that they should be getting is going to be the reward, whether that is achieving a particular consistency or achieving a particular outcome, a project to do, a deadline, something that's going to be the reward. But there's going to be another sweeter reward on top of that. Like, hey, I'm going to take you out to eat, or we're going to go shopping, or we're going to go whatever that person likes to do, go bowling or whatever. I don't know, whatever it is that you like. I'm just saying, set some type of thing in place. Listen, I can go on and on about accountability. But as I wrap this up, I want you to remember that accountability is not just a practice, it's something that you're just practicing on doing. It's a way of life that leads to personal growth. It leads to career success. It leads to stronger relationships, right? The person with whom you're holding accountable and who you're holding accountable and you're being vulnerable with, at some point your relationship is strengthened because of that. And by being accountable to yourself, to others, and in your professional life, you're on the path to a more rewarding and accomplished future. Listen, if you're ready to embrace the power of accountability in your life, I want you to hit the like button. Matter of fact, let's go back. I want to hit the like button, okay? If you really want to say, I'm serious about this, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button because I have more where this came from. And if you truly, truly are serious, I want you to also drop me a comment below and say something that you got out of this. Like, what was one of the things that struck with you in this particular topic? Man, and if you want to go even deeper, I encourage you to join Team ShySpeaks. That is my Patreon community for exclusive content. And again, we'll have an opportunity there to continue to walk on your journey towards being a more accountable and successful you. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.
Listen, ShySpeaks, 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 ShySpeaks.
I disagree with the conversation surrounding the woman who was hit by the brick. I just disagree with the entire conversation. I usually like to take notes and so I can have something referred to and I'm going to tell you what I think about the entire thing, but I want to speak from the heart on this. The entire conversation was trash. Now, for some of you guys who are like, what? The woman who was hit by a brick? See, I'm going to show you. I'm going to give you some context about what I'm talking about, but If you already know what I'm talking about, I believe that more than her was hit with the brick. I believe that once she was hit with the brick, I think it impacted her life forever. I think that it opened up a conversation and it unraveled some things that really, it was like the whole black diaspora was hit with a brick. And I'll explain why I say that in this video. I'm going to actually give some advice on what I think we should do better or should have been done so that this conversation won't be as trash as it really was. I mean, let's get into it.
Listen, ShySpeaks, 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 ShySpeaks.
If you did not know, there's a young lady out of Texas, as they say, who came to social media and she said that, matter of fact, let me just show you via video what actually happened here. Let's go.
A viral video has been making its rounds all over social media where a woman is sharing her experience after encountering a man who hit her in the face with a brick for not giving out her phone number. The original video from Roe by Shay was shared online by the Shade Room, Neighborhood Talk, and various other online.
I mean, it's just I'm okay. You know what? Let me try to hold myself together. Let's unpack what she just said. A woman was hit in the face by a brick, as you can see, brutally on her face. She says that a young man, a gentleman, asked her for her phone number. She refused, and as a result, there was a confrontation that led to her being hit in the face by a brick. That was not just her only issue. Her qualm was that there were plenty of men, black men, of course, in this case, who didn't do anything. She said they just stood idly by as he hit her and proceeded to leave and all that. And she felt like they were cowards and did not protect her. And so, since she talked about that, she was like, this is an example of what she means when she says men, especially our own men, are not protective of us. Even when we see someone else getting out of pocket and harming the women, they don't really do anything. And so, oh my goodness. Let me first go on record and say, I said the conversation around the woman was trash, not what she went through was trash. Like, I actually agree. I don't think that there's any reason why anybody should really be getting hit in the face with a brick, especially a woman by a man. I just think that that's completely out of pocket, completely out of pocket. Like, hold on, it's so out of pocket. I got to make sure it make noise. That out of pocket to me. I mean, seriously. And so the people who were onlookers to that, I also think that they were out of pocket. Now, here's the thing. She took to social media, she posted it, and so because of that, social media and several other media outlets ran with this particular story. And it just kind of like, it was almost like the entire black diaspora was hit with a brick because whew, it led to black women talking about the fact that, I'm sorry, yes, I'm talking, I so happen to have melanated hues, so I feel like I can chime in on this conversation. The women were saying that, see, this is what we're talking about. Like, when it was a black guy who was being attacked with the whole boat situation and chair situation. I'm sorry. Then everybody was jumping to their rescue to try to fight for them. But when it's a woman, it's kind of like, nah, I gotta, nah, shoot, you gotta worry about making it home. Well, nobody was talking about being threatened to make it home when everybody was swinging chairs and so forth and so on. So why are we suddenly talking about? I'm just trying to make sure I make it home at night. I can't be getting into it with somebody just. Are we kind of standing with each other? Or are we not? Are we only standing? Are the guys only standing with the guys and not standing in and protecting the women? I'm just trying to see. And I think that's what the women were trying to say as well. My issue with that, though, while that's a great point, it really is a great point, I think that it split and divide us again, female against male, or men against women. You know what I mean? Like, do we really need to continue to be divided on anything? Is there not a way to have a conversation without being divided? And I don't think that the women's intent was to divide. I think they were trying to say, hey, here's an example that we're talking about that says why we're unprotected. Now, Malcolm X has been quoted for saying black women are some of the least protected people in the world, especially in the United States, right? And so this is what they're saying. Still today, this is what's going on. I mean, nobody could have stepped in. Nobody could say, "Hey, hold on, bro, don't hit her," or "Hey, nobody could have did anything." I mean, you didn't have to get a chair and hit her, but could you just have really did anything? I think this is what they were saying. They weren't trying to divide, just trying to point out something. And then at that point, this is where I feel like the entire conversation just went left. It became trash, in my opinion, and we missed the opportunity because instead of actually taking accountability. Like, hey, yeah, bro, we missed the mark on that. We definitely should have did better. What happened was we split and divided amongst ourselves again, where it was say black Americans versus black immigrants, who apparently she's Somalian, and apparently the guys in the background had some type of accents that led people to believe that they may be Haitian or of some other descent. And so instead of saying, yeah, like, man, this was bad, they said, well, if this was, melanated Americans versus melanated immigrants, they have a different like, y'all, is this really the right time to be acting like we're not all one and the same? Like every other time you want to be like, unified, and let's all be, all together, and we're Afro Caribbean, Afro Dominican, Afro Puerto Rican, Afro Jamaican. Like every, there's this sense of unity that's supposed to be there, but instead of actually being unified and saying, yeah, bros, we gotta do better. They didn't say, well, no, because see, the claim was this. Here's the claim. The claim is that people associate black with black American, right? So you just say a black guy. These black guys did not help me. You're talking about Americans, and so they're saying we don't want to take responsibility for that because as soon as somebody do something great, oh, a Nigerian American just invented this, that, and the third, right? A Kenyan American just became a doctorial, whatever. But then when they do something negative, it's like, oh man, this black dude did da da da. And so they're like, no, don't. Let's stop putting all the bad stuff over here. I hear what they're saying. I just actually disagree. It's not true. I have one level and layer of proof that I want to present to you that actually just came out today, right? So here is this an article right here on CNN. It says, let's just say T and Shelton make history in the first U.S. Open quarterfinals between two black men. And I don't have to go into it, but you can look at them and clearly see that they are of two totally different somethings, right? But they have something in common, and that is the afro something. There's some melanin popping, there's some curly hair texture, and so they just know that at this point, these are two. They say black men. They didn't get into the specifics. We don't need to start breaking out amongst ourselves and saying this and that and that. No, stop being what you call classes or any of whatever, any type of is and ism that caused you to go into wanting to differentiate. Listen, and I will say I think one of them is Sierra Leonean, right? But the point of the matter here is they say that oftentimes when it's we just say black sometimes we do that. I mean it gets said, and so now that it doesn't matter, like, bro, like, oh, I was just so irked. Like, it doesn't matter which where your boat was dropped off, whether your slave ship was dropped off in America or in the Dominican Republic. The point that she was making was, I am a melanated woman. I am around melanated men, as in these are people who are of my same skin folk, and they sat here and let me be hit. Oh, now, then it moved on further. The conversation didn't just stop there, breaking off amongst the subsects instead of just being one unified people. They went on to talk about how she deserved it. Then the conversation split and divided because they say that when oftentimes when a black man is faces some type of brutality, when that happens, instead of people addressing that, hey man, that was a bit aggressive, that was overly, it was excessive force, it didn't have to go down that way. What they'll do is begin to pull up that person's history, right? And they say this is what they do. They pull up the person's history, and then they say, hey, you know, he was a criminal, or he's previously said this, or he's held up the middle, like, and they started talking about all these other things that don't have anything to do with the issue at hand, which is all that is fine from 2 and 3 years ago, or 5 and 6 or 10 years ago. But as of this particular act that we're talking about today, was that or was that not excessive? If the answer is yes, can we please move on? And I think what she was trying to say is that, and not just her, I think the conversation that erupted, I think what was trying to be said is that before the conversation erupted into even further uproar and further splitting off and dividing, they pulled up receipts from this young lady of things that she said, things that she had done that would, I guess, disqualify her from being able to speak on this type of matter. I that's trash. Like, are you doing the same thing? I know you can't be doing that. I know we're not doing that. I know we're not pulling up previous things to say, like, well, on some months ago, she's done da 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 da. So today, no, 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 no. Let's stick to the point at hand. Listen, all of that was trash because there were several points where there was a division amongst the gender, amongst the ethnicity, or different drop off points. I'll put it like that. And then there, of course, was this same display of like pulling up her history to prove that she may have deserved it. All of these things happen, in my opinion, to avoid keeping the main thing, and that is to, as a group of people, let's collectively agree and to the fact that this is unacceptable and we need to be able to be held accountable for not being protectors, especially when it's right here on video in broad daylight. Now, hopefully by now you understand how divisive this entire thing was. No one won. Not the woman, and definitely not the entire community. Everybody was hit with the brick. Everybody took L's, especially the gentlemen who were involved with the actual incident. To me, y'all was just complete L's. Now, if you agree with me, I want you to hit the comment section and type, let's do better, right? Now, if you disagree, feel free to also chime in. I'd like to know exactly how you disagree with the fact that this conversation, in my opinion, could have been handled better without splitting and dividing and all that kind of stuff. It could have remained unified because oftentimes people say that these people are trying to pit us against each other. Nobody else was involved here. This was happening amongst the entire community by itself. We got to be able to be held accountable within the entire diaspora. Like, let's just be accountable. Man, let's just go ahead and take a response. Hey, we need to do better as a whole, right? It's okay, guys. We can improve. There's always room for improvement. And I want you guys to remember this. This is why this is important to me. I want you to remember that civil conversations start at home. Listen, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Listen, ShySpeaks, 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 ShySpeaks.
The European Union is doing a digital crackdown. That's right. I like talking about business right here on this channel. And today we're going to be delving into the tech world because the EU is cracking down on giants like Apple, Amazon, Meta. But here is the twist. We're going to explore how these moves could send ripple effects all the way to your local small business. See? Plot twist. Stay with us because by the end of this video, you'll not only understand how the EU's actions affect the tech giants, but you'll also discover the potential impact on small businesses and what steps they or you can take to thrive in this shifting landscape. Let's get it.
Listen, ShySpeaks, 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 ShySpeaks.
Now, before we dive all the way in, let me give you some context. The European Union has set its sights on regulating the tech giants, aiming to level the playing field and protect user data. But what does this mean? Like, what does this mean to your favorite neighborhood coffee shop or a boutique store, right? Well, we're going to explore this topic and we'll uncover whether these regulations could create opportunities for small businesses or pose new challenges. What role will innovation and adaptation play in this digital transformation? Like, just stick around and I have some answers for you. First, let's understand what the EU is doing. They're tightening the reins on big tech, focusing on competition, data privacy, and content regulation. These changes are meant to ensure fairness and to protect consumers. Now, I want to actually show you a video to give you some context about what actually is really and truly going on. Let's pull that up here momentarily.
Like Facebook, Apple's App Store, Google services, and Amazon will be subject to a new set of rules. Now, these rules cover everything from content moderation to user privacy to transparency in operations. The DSA mandates a range of obligations initially applied to 19 major online platforms with over 45 million users in the EU. But come with it, no platform, large or small, will be exempt. Violators face substantial fines of up to 6% of their global turnover. Repeated offences could result in being barred from European operations entirely. Most companies have referred to public posts on the matter, while others remain silent. Notably, Amazon and Zalando are challenging their inclusion under the DSA's umbrella. Legal battles are underway, questioning the regulatory boundaries.
I'm sorry, that's something I like. I do. I like actually listening to the videos on super speed because I want to get through them. But the truth of the matter is, one of the things she said is that notice that this is going to affect businesses big and small. So let's zoom in on the potential impact on small business. The crackdown could level the advertising playing field, making it easier for local businesses to reach their target audiences, right? So with stricter regulations on tech giants, that promotes fair competition. When large companies face limitations on their advertising practices and data usages, it opens up for smaller businesses to compete in a more level playing field. Local businesses can now vie for consumer attention without being overshadowed by massive advertising budgets. That is a good thing. That's a good thing for the small businesses. Also, this enhanced data privacy, right? So the EU's focus on data privacy can work in the favor of local businesses. The more stringent rules governing the big tech giants on user data and consumer information, it can become more it causes the consumers to become more discerning, and they start realizing that they don't want to start sharing as much information because now they realize what's going on. That shift could lead to a preference for smaller, trusted local business. That then prioritizes like data security and transparency in a better way than the big people can do, right? Or the bigger companies rather. There are no big people, it's just larger companies by the scale of metrics, right? But basically what I'm saying is by these tight regulations, small businesses will be able to establish, relationships with customers. Small businesses already have the opportunity to establish relationships with customers on a more interpersonal level, which builds trust. And so you're going to actually be able to find people in person, not having to sift for them through these digital and probably what will be outlawed practices pretty soon. You don't have to do that. You actually have a way of going directly to your person. As a small business, you will now have an advantage, right? And so that's really a cool thing. Now, I want to give a bit actual bonus topic. This is something that I didn't want to throw in there. But as I was listening to the video, one of the things she talked about was the different regulations and how those change. And ultimately, this could lead to new small businesses, new small companies, especially if you're a company who is tech inspired, if you're inspired by developing some type of innovative technology or solutions or apps or platforms. When these new regulations come into place, it creates a gap and a new need for the consumer to be able to protect themselves. Maybe the consumer is going to need something. There's something to block this or support that, or maybe there's something that the companies are going to need. You could be the one to innovate and create that company, and the bigger companies have to buy it from you or the government or something like that. So there's an opportunity. There's always room when there's a new law. Let's say, for example, before when cars previously existed, there was just no seatbelts allowed. But then at some point, seatbelts became the law. So now the person who was not actually in business decided to create the seatbelt. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is think about what's going on with the EU's digital crackdown, see how it can actually be beneficial for you, right? It can be beneficial for you as a small business. It might level the playing field for you advertising wise, or, you might be able to develop a company. As I wrap up this video, I want you to remember that change is constant, and small businesses have resilience. Small businesses who have resilience and are able to adapt and grow have an advantage. So by staying informed and embracing innovation, seizing opportunities, you can navigate a digital landscape and continue to be at the heartbeat of your community, the community that you're serving with your small business. If you're a small business owner, I want you to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video. I said don't forget to like this video if you enjoy small business insights just like this one. Without further ado, I want to see you in the next video.
Listen, ShySpeaks, 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 ShySpeaks.
Hello there, my aspiring productivity pros. Today, we're unraveling a powerful connection that is often overlooked. That is, accountability is or equals productivity. So, I want you to actually stay tuned, because by the end of the video, you'll not only understand why accountability is the secret ingredient to turbocharging your productivity, but we'll also be able to reveal actionable strategies to harness its full potential. I made that sound real, real deep. I'm just saying stay tuned, because I'm going to actually show you the correlation between accountability and productivity. Now, before we dive into it, I want to set the stage. Okay? Okay. Sometimes I'm so silly. But seriously, accountability is not just about meeting deadlines or letting somebody be in your business. It's about taking ownership of your actions and driving your productivity to new heights. Let's get it.
Listen, ShySpeaks, 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 ShySpeaks.
Now, as we explore the topic, we're going to uncover how accountability impacts personal and professional productivity. I guess the question is, can accountability or being accountable to others really truly enhance your focus or motivation, those types of things that we really truly consider productive? Well, stick around and I have answers for you. When you are accountable, number one, you're more likely to stay committed to your goals and you're more likely to prioritize tasks. Why? It's the psychological contract. There's just this fear that we have of not meeting the expectations or letting other people down that can be a powerful incentive to stay productive. Also, consistency in your actions can be formed through regular check-ins and reports due, right? In order to meet the check-in point properly, that you just wind up developing the habit of like, whatever I need to do so that I can meet the check-in. I need to develop the habit so I can have something to present when the report is due, and so forth and so on. It just kind of creates this habit, and now you have the habits that are actually productive. That's number one way how accountability is productivity. Number two, we want to focus on personal accountability. When you hold yourself accountable, you set a high standard for your own performance. Now, if you've ever heard of this terminology by being in the sports world, having kids in the sports world, you probably heard somebody say, oh, they're playing to the level of the competition. Or you probably heard the terminology, there was an upset, some lesser known team, lesser considered team, or lesser projected to be the winner team, aka the underdog. They wind up playing up and upsetting a team that was kind of like the people's choice. Everybody kind of figured if they can continue to play like this and click on this center, they'll win. How does that happen? What is that? And what does that have to do with accountability? What I'm trying to say, so as it goes with sports, where people play to the level of competition, so it goes with yourself. Truly, you're probably playing to the level of the standards that you set for yourself. You're playing to the level of challenges that you put before yourself. And so here's what I want to do. I want you to consider the idea of saying, hey, I want to be more accountable. Listen, I'm telling you, accountability is productivity. If you say to yourself, I want to be accountable. You're going to assess every area of your life. You're going to determine what level you're on. And the very next level is actually truly attainable for you. It is, because you're doing this level with ease. You're probably doing this level without even thinking, without even putting much effort into it. So what you're saying to yourself is, really, I could really be a B plus student. Let's just say you're a B student. You could really be a B plus student if you actually put in some effort. And what you want to say to yourself is a standard. I am a person who is intentional. I am a person who puts effort in life. I'm not just drifting by. I'm actually giving it my all while I have time here on earth, right? If that's the kind of person you are, the B plus is your now standard, because I'm not going through life not giving effort, right? And that is similar with the B plus, the A plus. When it comes to accountability, increasing your productivity, there has to be some form of grading system that's put in place, right? When you put something in place to track your progress, and it's letting you know, hey, am I going from this level to that level? Because I can track I remember I was saving this much money per month. That was, let's say, that was the goal. I'm saving this much money with ease. But if I put a little bit more intention in here, I can save this. Now, if I save this, I can actually get to the point where I can invest in that, right? So why am I not being able to invest? Why? Because I'm not putting my all into it. I'm not being productive. How can I be more productive? I have to be more accountable. Accountable to what? The level that I know I'm supposed to be operating on. All too often, people are not operating at a high level because they have a low standard for themselves. The next level is right there, achievable with a little bit more effort. I want to keep it moving when it comes to accountability. I want to talk about accountability to others. When you have accountability to others now, then in comes deadline adherence. You're going to adhere because, like I said in a previous video, at a previous time, there is just this psychological contract that you have, right? You just don't want to not live up to the expectation. And so you're going to adhere to the deadline. And the more you adhere to deadlines, you build this confidence within yourself. And the more you build this confidence in yourself, you start building these habits within yourself. These habits are more productive, and so forth and so on. The awareness that others are expecting results of you, and this fear of missing out on deadlines can drive you to stay focused and complete the work efficiently. I mean, this adherence to deadlines eliminates, here's what really happens. This is the good part. This is where accountability creates productivity. Because accountability creates productivity when you have the charge to meet a deadline. Now, you can no longer procrastinate. I'm going to say it slow for the people on this side. No, seriously, the adherence to deadline eliminates procrastination and promotes consistency. It promotes consistent progress, and ultimately, it increases your overall productivity. No procrastination, increased productivity. Why am I not procrastinating? Because I have a deadline. Why am I going to meet the deadline? Because somebody else is holding me accountable. It's quite simple as that. If you want to if you want to have an increased productivity, you really have to be accountable. Also, it improves your focus and your prioritization. When you're accountable, you become more aware of your actions, right? Because somebody else is aware and you are aware, and whether or not your actions are aligning with this objective. Somebody say awareness. Mm. Somebody said awareness. It's a heightened focus that helps you allocate your time and energy to high priority tasks. But if you weren't being held accountable by yourself or others, you would not have a heightened focus and heightened priority, rather. So that's why I say it increases your focus. It causes you to say, I want to put more work in, and I want to but I want to like be more efficient with the work I'm putting in. I want to spend less time doing it because I'm aware of what I'm doing. Accountability breeds awareness. Awareness breeds productivity. Listen, as I bring this video to a close, remember that accountability is not just a buzzword. It's your secret weapon for supercharging productivity. By being accountable to yourself and others, you're unlocking your full potential and achieving more than you ever thought was possible. Listen, here's what I want you to know right now. I want you to understand that people think that accountability is letting somebody be in their business. It's not about that. It's letting somebody elevate your business. It's letting somebody elevate your productivity. It's you having a personal contract with yourself that says, I want to have more output. So Instead of looking at all these different ways, I'm gonna do time management, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. All those things are great, but the real secret sauce is accountability, because it's gonna actually bring, it's gonna bring some clarity, some things. It's gonna make you stop procrastinating. It's gonna actually cause you to focus. It's gonna bring a certain level of awareness that's essential for you achieving the next level of success. Now, I want you to do is drop me a line below on something that you plan on being accountable for. Like just one thing that you say, hey, I want to be accountable in this area because I know that if I'm accountable here, my productivity will increase. If you want to go a step further, I would encourage you to join Team ShySpeaks on my Patreon community, where I can actually, well, we can hold each other accountable, because Team ShySpeaks, we're like this. We talk all the time. So shout out to my Patreon community for making this video possible. Anyway, without further ado, I want you to remember that goals are within your reach, and all it takes is accountability to unlock the path to success. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.
Listen, ShySpeaks, 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 ShySpeaks.
Now, at this part of the square is where I bring in the square. So without further ado, welcome into the fountain, where I actually give a wisdom of nugget, a quote or scripture or something that you can take with you for the rest of your week until we meet again. In today's theme, we were talking about accountability. Well, I want to encourage somebody. I want to let you know that the time has come for you to carry accountability forward. Take it offline from this conversation that we're having into the real world. Go and find you at least a few people who you really, truly, and honestly trust, and invite them in to be your accountability. Invite them in to give you feedback. I promise you, I promise you that you'll be more productive and more successful for doing that. There is no way for you to be accountable and there not be an increase in you personally. It's just true. And if you don't believe me and you want to test me and prove me in it, again, go find you somebody. Let's go offline. Let's move beyond these videos. Go find you somebody who you really truly trust, who you have a shared vision with, or who you know would love to see you get to the next level, and invite them in to be accountable with you. I guarantee you're going to have stronger relationships, and again, you're going to be more productive, more successful. I hope that helps you right there. But just in case that did not, I got to give you the scripture. Somebody say the word. Hey, I got to give you the word. Romans 14:12 says, so then, each of us will give account of ourselves to God. I said, so then each of us will give an account of ourselves to God. Listen, when you actually embrace accountability, you get yourself to the point where there's somebody else who knows what's going on. They know, you know, and more importantly, God knows. So again, go and be accountable. Thank you so much for tuning into the square. I truly, truly hope you enjoyed this refresher course on why you need to be accountable, why we need to take accountability in every area of our lives, in our business, in communities. Listen, I'm telling you, whew, it was a refresher for me. If it was a refresher for you, let me know. Again, thank you so much for tuning into the square. I greatly appreciate you. Peace. Ow.
Listen, ShySpeaks, 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 ShySpeaks.